Okay, this is just a very quick and brief introduction to Premiere. I'm fairly new to this version of Premiere, so I don't know it all that well, but I know how to basically edit in Premiere and how to use a few transitions and how to then export my edit. So I've just loaded it up. I'll go to New Project and I'll give it a name. I'll call it previs. I'll leave all the settings by default for now, and then this should load up Premiere. This is the default interface. If yours is not the same as mine, just check what mode you're in. I'm in editing mode here. Okay, and then I want to load my source clips in here. I've done 4 shots in Maya from the storyboard. I've just got a few more shots to do, but I'm just doing it to show you the process so far. So I'm going to right click in my project folder here and import the objects. So I need to go and find them now. Where are they? I think they're in my hiding 3 and movies, and here they are. Previous shot 1, 2, 3, 4. So just shift and select them all, open those, and they should appear here. Now if I double click, I'm going to look at shot 1 to start with, so I'm going to just double click on that, and that loads into this source view here. And you can actually edit stuff in here. You can clip or you can crop your clips in here before you drag them into your timeline here, or you can just drag them direct into here, and you can adjust the length of them in here as well by dragging and dropping on them. But I'll do it here to start off with. So we've got our opening shot, so let's have a look at this. We've got playback controls here. We've also got in and out markers here, which you can use, which is the I and the O key for a hotkey. And these are quite good. I sometimes have my sort of hand hovering over the O key. I press a clip and then I press O where I want to mark out where I want that clip to end. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to press play. It pans down from the sky, and then Stan walks into view. And I'm going to cut about there. So I just pressed the O key. It's actually just before he stopped. I probably should have let him walk on a bit further in my source clip. But look, you can see it's put that marker in. Otherwise, you can just click on this icon here. And this one here will put an in clip, so it will mark where you want it actually to start. So if you wanted it to start sooner, you can use that. I can then drag and drop this onto my timeline. And this loads into here, and you can see I've got, I'll try and explain this to you, but you've got 3 default video channels to start off with and 3 audio channels. You don't need them all. You can actually work in quite a linear way, which is what I'll do. But when we start using transitions and stuff, that's when it's good to layer the video channels. You can also see the final kind of sequence loads up in this window here. Okay, this is my kind of final shot window, and it's got similar controls and stuff, but it kind of shows me exactly what's in the timeline, whereas this just shows me what's in the media browser over here. So I've got my opening shot. I want my shot 2 now, which is this one here. So I might I'm going to just drag and drop this straight into here. So you can do that as well. And you can see it snaps to the end of the clip. Always look out for little black flashes between your clips. If they're not totally snapped together, you'll get black will appear. So let's just press play on this. So you can see the timeline's moving along. And we'll see if the cut is okay. Walk away, then we cut to that. And then Stan enters into frame. There's quite a long pause before he comes into frame, but I think because this shot ends with him just, you could have other shots in between here to have him walking into town, but because he's quite a long way, you almost want to give him a chance to get into town. It doesn't have to be too literal, the directing, but we still want to have a bit of a pause so we can have the crunch of footsteps in the audio as well. And then he comes into view and he turns to face. So we want to cut this at some point. So what I might do, I can just do this, like I can just drag this to here if I want to, and that will have the same effect, like so. And then we've got our next one, which is the zoom in on the wanted poster. So I'm just dragging and dropping. I'm working very linear at the moment. So that then goes to here. We cut to the zoom in on the wanted poster, and then we cut back to Stan. So this is all I've done. That's dragged it. That didn't drag it the first time. And then we cut to Stan. The plus and the minus keys zoom in on the time slider. So if I just press minus, I can just see a bit more. And then we've got almost what we call a match cut. I almost got this right. Nothing clever. When I did the 2 camera shots, I just stuck a bit of masking tape on my screen to make sure I got Stan's head in the right place. Okay, no clever technology there, just a bit of masking tape. And that matches quite well. I can show you transition effects here. We can have a look at making this into a match dissolve. So if we wanted this to dissolve, so it fades between, we want to move this shot 4 onto a different video channel. So I'm going to move it over here, overlap it a bit. This will be how long the transition takes. Okay, so if I move this here, look, this says 23 seconds. Go to here, about 24. So it's about a second. So yeah, that should be probably okay. And then over here, look, we've got effects and we've got video transition. There's lots of different things here. I don't know what half of these things do, but I just use a good old-fashioned dissolve. Most of anything I cut together usually is just cuts like this or the odd dissolve. I'm going to just use an additive dissolve. I'm going to drag it onto here, and you just need to drag it right to the start of the clip and it goes green. And let's just zoom in on this again using the plus and the minus key. We can see there's a little bit of overlap there. So the dissolves are not going to finish until the clip finishes, so we might get a slight jump in it. Don't know whether we'll be able to see that. You see there's a slight jump where that clip disappears. So let's pull this in a bit. That's better. You can just drag the end of the dissolve effect and adjust. You can actually double click on it as well if you want to. If I double click on that, yeah, it still does that. That's a second long, it's saying, if I wanted to change its duration. So now it does this, look, it does this nice sort of match dissolve into Stan. Okay, that works quite well. It's not too cheesy. It's all right. So let's zoom out again, and we're going to do the same at the beginning. I want the opening shot where we have the sky. I want this to fade in from black. Okay. You don't need a black frame here. By default, additive dissolve, I think, if I remember rightly, should dissolve from black. Let's just have a look. Yeah, okay, that's doing that. And that's a little bit too quick, so let me just zoom in again. It's taking, by default, about a second. Let's give it about 2 seconds to there. So I've just drag and drop that there. Press play, so we'll see it fades in from black onto our sky, and then pans down onto the town. So I think that's good so far. I haven't done anything particularly clever. This shot here, I'm going to just slightly alter this shot here. See where he turns? I want this to cut about there. So the motion of him turning continues into the zoom of that shot, just so it flows a bit better. Let's just watch it at the moment. It's a bit sort of stop-start. He turns, pause, cut. So we can make this flow a little bit better. So look there, right about there. So look, if I drag this, if I make sure that if I hover over here, look, you can see the arrow appears. I want to drag it that way and to about there. So that he turned, and then it cuts to black at the moment because there's a gap there. If I had loads of clips here, look, this would be easy enough to move these, but I want these to stay together. So look, this icon here, I can't remember the hotkey. It's A. There you go. I think that one's V. The main selection tool is V, and A is the track select. So look, if you just click on one, it highlights all the others, so you don't have to rejig everything. And I can just snap this together there. So this might, I think that's better. Let's just watch this in real time. That's possibly a little bit better. Maybe I wanted him to finish his move just a bit. So let's just draw this out a little bit. So press the V key to go back to this. Let's just, I think like that, I think will be better. I'm being fussy again. So let's drag that to there. Again, make sure it snaps together. I think that works. So the final thing looks something like this. I mean, I won't watch the whole thing, but look, we've got the Stan walks past, cut to the saloon. I've got a very slight zoom in here, very slow. Then Stan appears, maybe a bit quickly. We'll have to look at that. And then we've got that shot, and then I'll match dissolve onto his face to show he's kind of the same person, and that's it. Okay, so there's a few more shots to come because he's obviously going to be looking at the gun there and stuff like that. But that's the basics. So how you lay down stuff on the video channels and how you can use dissolves as well, how you can put transition effects in here. The last thing I just want to show you is how to export this. Okay, so I've got everything here. Okay, and I want to export. It's nearly 30 seconds long already. So you can see, and this is just the intro. So we go File and Export Media, like so. And this loads up very much like Adobe Media Encoder. So this is our clip. So we just check this is all okay. I think that's all okay. And we just have a look at some of these. So format, we want to. I've changed this to H.264. I think when I played about with this earlier, it loaded up in MP3. So instantly the export video was grayed out because MP3 is just an audio file. So make sure as soon as you set this to the correct format, hopefully everything should ungray out, as it were. So H.264 is a really good one to use. And we can tell it where it's going to save it out. That's great. I'll put it in there. I'll just call this, I can't remember what my other shots are called, so I don't want to overwrite those, so I'll call this final, let's say, just so it doesn't overwrite those. And look, this is good. 1280 by 536 is the output at 24 frames. The source matches that as well. So it's not trying to muck about with it. It's just exactly outputting the source, but it's compressing it using the H.264 codec, so it won't be a huge file size. I think once I'm happy with that, I'm not going to play about with anything else. I'm just going to say export, and that will export that as a movie clip. And hopefully the file size shouldn't be too large. If you did this uncompressed, you'd be looking at, you know, half a gig to a gig in size, and you'll fill up your end drive quite quickly. But if you use H.264, the quality is usually pretty good, and the playback is good. The file size is not too big. So let's go and find that, and we'll check the size of it, and then hopefully it should all be okay. So final, there it is. And we right click and go properties. Yeah, it's under 10 meg, so that's really good. And that's, you know, half a minute nearly of animation. Playback's not going to be great because I've got the video capture software running in the background. It always makes things jump a little bit. So once I've turned that off, it'll play back a lot better. So look, there's my clip, and that's all edited together. One last thing is make sure when you're working in Premiere, you save. There's still a bit of a pause there. I'll probably go back into that and get that. So when it just needs a tiny couple of frames cut out. But there we go. We've got our basic kind of previs cut together. But make sure in here, go File and Save As, and save this project. Because then you can load it up again and make tweaks to it. You have to make sure that the source videos that it's looking for don't get moved about, otherwise it won't load these in. It will suddenly be, well, where have these gone? It will come up with a sort of an error screen. Okay, but that's just the real basics of Premiere. So hopefully that will help you edit your previs together.